Hi, my name is Oskar. We're making soap in my home. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoy the video. So this is the soap. We never bought soap when we were kids. It's just been a thing in our family. I buy soap because I live in the city.
Is this a soap making class?
Yes. Yeah. I buy soap because I've been living in the city, and what really made me aware was that I started looking at my expenses, and I broke it down one year, and I said, oh my God, I spend like $700 a year in soap. I was like, what the hell is going on? Why do I spend so much money on soap? And I've realized that what happens is that soap is not made to last. Soap, when the soap companies make soap, they make it to a level to where it's going to run out quickly, so that you can go back to the store and buy another 6 bars for $7, right? And then naturally, when you buy 6 bars for $7, then you see, something else that you want, and so you're spending money to the same company that's making the stuff. So I realized, I said, I can make my own soap at home because I already know how to do it, right? And I went and I priced the ingredients, and you're looking at, like I said earlier, the lard is $30 for that big bucket, but if you're just making soap for your household to use, you don't need that big bucket. You only need you need like the smallest one that they have that's like that much. It's only like $5. The olive oil you need is only $18. The coconut oil is $7. The lye is $5. And then the mold, instead of buying an expensive mold, this one is just a cake tray holder. You put your cakes in it, and they have them at Walmart for $5. So this batch will render you about 20 bars of soap at about 5 ounces a bar. So that should last a household an entire year. And so you saved a lot of money in making it all yourself.
Now, where do you get the coconut oil and the lard?
The lard you can get at like Fiesta, along with the coconut oil. All of this you can go to your baking section, and it'll be in the baking section. Except for your lye is going to be at the hardware store.
Fiesta is going to be by far the cheapest place to get your lard.
Yeah.
Because white people don't cook with lard.
That's why I had to ask.
Yeah, I went to Kroger, I went to HEB, I went to Randall's. And
They
I was
give you a little
like,
cube of lard. You're like, what the heck?
one girl was like, I said, do you guys have lard? She goes, lard? She goes, what is that? I was like, you don't eat fried food.
Have you been to El Real, the
I
restaurant?
found it cheap.
I love on their menu how they have a section on how they make their own lard. That's awesome.
The Luana, I have it cheaper.
So, like I said, some of the tools that you're going to get, one of the tools that you will need is a scale. You can get this scale at Bed Bath & Beyond for like $20. It's not bad. It's a really good scale. You need one that's gonna be able to measure out a couple of pounds. And I use a lot of these little plastic Tupperwares. I'll go to the thrift store or whatever, or I'll find them in garage sales. And if you're planning on like making soap, you don't need all of this stuff if you're just making it for your household. So keep in mind that I do sell soap, so I have a lot of stuff, and I'm just telling you where you can get it in the event that you want to also start making soap, and you can.
So it could be that, or it could be a red Solo cup.
Yeah, because if you go to the store, like soap making materials are freaking expensive. Like their molds for like an 8-ounce bar of soap is like $40. I'm like, yo guys are crazy. They tried to sell me a soap melting pot for like $50, and I was like, I got a crock pot at home that looks the same, and I got it for $10. So this is just like little Tupperware. Make sure that you zero out your scale. And then you want 12 ounces of lye. So that's the first ingredient, is your 12 ounces of lye.
For how much of a batch?
For 20 bars.
This batch is going to be,
Does anybody have an extra?
I want to say 2.5 pounds.
Mhm.
It's going to be heavy, that's for sure. You're going to get a lot of soap out of this one. It's going to make this batch right here. That's, I don't know, you'd have to do the math. It's, it'll render you about 20 bars at 5 ounces a bar.
Yeah.
So we started at 12 ounces of lye, right?
Yeah.
5 ounce. Yeah.
And this is actually, when we say ounces, we don't mean mass, we mean weight. And you're gonna want to have your rubber gloves when you're dealing with this lye because it will burn your skin.
Okay.
So one of the things also is that we covered earlier, the stuff that you use to make the soap needs to stay only for making soap. Don't take this pot, make soap, and then make beef stew afterwards. So we have our 12 ounces of lye, okay, and then we need 32 ounces of water.
Does the water have to be distilled, or can it be tap, or can it be?
It can be tapped right out of your tap. Again, you're gonna do ounces in weight. 32 ounces of water.
Okay. Again, this is mass, not volume, right?
Right. And you want to use cold water. The reason you want to use cold water is because when we add the lye to this, it's going to shoot up in temperature and it's going to be very, very hot. 2.5 pounds.
In the pot.
Oh, I'm sorry. 2 pounds.
Yes.
32
okay.
ounces
That's
is 2
better.
pounds. So once you have your water, take a spoon and reserve it for your mixing of the lye. As you can see, I use this old wooden spoon and it starts to eat it up in the beginning process. So this is just the one that I use and I set it aside for the lye. And you have to mix the lye into the water. Don't put the water into the lye.
Why not use a metal spoon?
You can use a metal spoon.
Are there any
Yeah.
consequences?
No, sodium is more reactive than metals, so.
Yeah. So I just use this wooden spoon because I like wood. But yeah, you can use a metal spoon. The only thing is the enamel is those, they really want you to stay away from enamel.
So how much lye was that?
This is 12 ounces of lye. Sometimes you're gonna want to start off too by wearing like a breathing mask because
Yeah.
these fumes can get pretty powerful. Make sure that the area is well ventilated. That's why I have the front and the back door open. And let your neighbors know that you're making soap and give them some of the soap when you're done making it.
Was that a hen that used lye to make them happy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't buy 10 bottles at once.
What about the temperature of the water?
The temperature of the water is shooting up. It's very, very hot right now. So what we're going to do, the reason why we're doing this first is because we have to wait for it to cool down. It's going to take about an hour for it to cool down. You should always make soap when it's cold outside. It won't take that long. You can set your thing outside and it'll bring it down a little bit quicker.
Would there be a problem if when you're doing your water weight, you have some ice in there as part of your water weight as well, just so that?
Well, ice and water measure differently.
Yeah, that's
You could do a
wait.
bath. You could put it in
No,
an
a
ice
different
bath.
way.
Really?
There's a different way.
yeah, that's why I say just use cold water.
Okay.
Make sure that you get it nice and stirred. You got all of the crystals. And what I tell everybody
Yes,
is,
you
as
also-
soon as you're done stirring it, to save yourself from burning or anything like that, burning yourself from the liquid, just immediately put the spoon in the sink and run water over it.
Gotcha.
Now you want the lye to come down to the minimum that you want it to come down to is 90 degrees.
That's the minimum.
That's the minimum. Don't let your lye go to room temperature. Because if you let your lye go to room temperature, it's gonna come out rubbery, your soap.
So
So
that pitcher, because it's got lime water in it, you want to get it no lower than 90 degrees Fahrenheit.
right, your lye mixture that we just made with the water, let it go no lower than 90 degrees. The fats that we're about to mix, those need to come down to 100 degrees. You can't mix your lye and your fats and oils outside of a 10-degree difference. So, because oils heat up so quick and so fast, and that one needs to come down, we want to time it just right. So what we're going to do first is, that one's already out there. Like I said, it's going to take about an hour to let it settle down. So within that hour, we're going to time ourselves with bringing down our fats.
How exact does that temperature need to be? I mean, do I need a thermometer that we only use for soap, or
Yes.
can I get like one of the infrared on the outside of the container type?
And that thermometer can look like this. I have several thermometers. You can get this one,
Yeah.
or you can get this one. I prefer these because this you actually have to hold. This one you can clip to the side of the lye solution, and the temperature that it's skyrocketing over there won't shatter this glass. You can do the same thing so now you have one for your fats and oils, and you have one for your lye. So you can kind of measure them both out. So I'm going to go stick this one out over there. You're going to want to get at least 3 little tubs like this. These I got at Southlands. They're 95 cents. They're durable.
I give you better advice. You can stop by the bakery and ask for the buckets for free.
Yeah, you can do that too. You can do
Buckets for really.
You can do a lot of different things, but the point is, get you some buckets like this. Get you at least 3, because we're working with 3 different fats and oils, and I like to mix them at a different time.
Wow.
So, again, we need to zero out our scale here, and first thing we're going to do is the lard. Get you another spoon. Weigh out your lard. This recipe that we're using, we're going to use 42 ounces of lard. This one is 20 ounces of coconut oil. This soap that we're making now is for all skin types. Then you can add natural herbs to this ingredient later, actually. And it'll take on the qualities of the herbs, the medicinal properties. Like calendula flowers, make sure that they're still orange. Calendula flowers and dried chamomile. To this recipe here, 1 cup of each flower will give you a bar of soap that's actually very, very good for people who have oily skin. Especially teenagers. Teenagers get very self-conscious about their face. They're breaking out, they got pimples, whatever, who cares? But people care, right? And it hurts their feelings and stuff like that. But their bodies are going through a transitioning phase. And a lot of times, they say, oh, use this astringent or whatever that's going to dry out the face and remove the oils and blah, blah, blah. And it's very bad for the skin, because as we strip the skin of those oils, the body immediately is trying to replace them, so the oil comes back, and it's just, now you just got oily skin and worse oily skin. So calendula with chamomile flowers, 1 cup to this recipe creates a really good bar of soap for the teenage body and adolescents, but also any adult who still has oily skin. It removes just enough of the surface oil that the skin is still moisturized but clean, so your body is not producing excess oil.
Have you ever done a soap with like a pumice or some other type of exfoliant?
Oh yeah, I'll teach you about the good natural exfoliants too when we make, because we're gonna put it in this one actually.
Oh, cool.
And of course, remember this batch takes 30 days to harden. Yeah, really, really fun is the waiting period. So when it's done, I'm gonna cut up the bars and stuff and wrap them for y'all, and they'll be at the Free Thinkers house, so y'all can just tell Derek or whatever, and you can pick them up there. For a lot of people, making your own soap
Yeah.
can be very therapeutic
That's nice.
because there's a lot of attention to detail in it, so it's very relaxing. You can make it by yourself. You don't need anybody else's help. And you guys, the other awesome, amazing thing about these things being in your kitchen is like the leftovers, like the coconut oil. You can use it in your cooking or whatever later on down the road, so you're not wasting money. And now
why
we
you don't
need
waste
our
the
olive
stones.
oil. 20 ounces of olive oil. There are so many different types of olive oil. Virgin, extra virgin. It doesn't matter which one you use. This one I use is just regular 100% natural olive oil. Nothing fancy. Sorry. I know people are very picky about their olive oil, but you're not eating it. You're washing your body with it.
Assuming the Sicilian mob hasn't cut it.
Yeah.
Right.
You're doing what's called a cold method.
Cold press method. The really good thing about this one is that one of the things is in the cold press method is that they tell you to get like towels and blankets and wrap whatever you're doing. That cake sheet is designed to hold heat in. So that's another reason why I use it as a mold. The recipe, so we go over the recipe again. The recipe is going to be 42 ounces of lard, 20 ounces of coconut oil, 20 ounces of olive oil, 12 ounces of lye, and 32 ounces of water. Now this is the part where I hope you like to stir. Because you gotta mix the oils and the fats. And then you have to mix the water with the oily fat. And we all know, right, from regular science class, what doesn't mix? Oil and water. So you have your olive oil, you have your coconut oil, and you have your lard. And so first we'll put the lard in. And then we're going to turn the lard on.
We're gonna
Now-
go all the way out.
Now remember, folks, that you don't want this to start boiling because you'll make the lard go rancid. So watch your temperature. You just want to get it, like I said, to about melting. You just want the lard to melt down, and then we'll mix in the coconut oil, and the heat from the lard will melt the coconut oil.
Like low, medium heat or
Yeah.
Also, if you're not used to cooking with actual steel pots, they heat up and hold the heat a lot faster than, cheap Tefal or something.
Oh yeah.
So,
Don't leave this unmanned, saying, "Oh, I'm just gonna put my lard in there, walk away, and I'll come back, and it's
10,000 degrees.
10,000 degrees and your kitchen is on fire," because it is combustible.
Oh yeah.
You're doing some pretty high heat there right now. Aren't you?
Yeah. I just like to get a good lather in the bottom, get it a good melt, and then I just stir it around.
About how tall does it get in that pot?
How tall?
Uh-huh.
You guys want to come in and look? Y'all can come look. The other thing about all of your recipes that you do is I'll always tell everybody, don't try to do anything by memory. because then you'll make an amazing batch of soap, and then you'll say, "Oh, I'll remember," and then you'll forget how you made that amazing batch of soap. So I'll write it down, everything that you do. So anyway, I started making this natural batch of soap, and as some of you know, what my main focus is on what I do is I practice as a spiritualist. My profession is in conjure, which is working with African and Latin diaspora spirits. And one of the things that we do is we use a lot of oils and candles for luck, success, love, prosperity, promotions, work, small businesses, gambling, and the list goes on and on and on. Well, throughout the tradition, because a lot of it comes from the South, we started incorporating these things into our daily routine. So like soap. So that's how I got into making different kinds of soap with the herbs and stuff. Was through this basic recipe and saying, "Oh, I can make my own spirit soap," you know. Instead of going to the store and buying this one that has been produced by this company that really isn't into spirit, they're just producing a bar of soap that smells good.
Can you also add like essential oils, or do you have to use the dried flower leaf?
Yes, you can add essential oils for scent. Like if you wanted a batch of, let's say for example, you wanted this batch to smell like lavenders, right? For this batch, you would need at least 1 ounce of essential lavender oil, but no more than 2 ounces.
Okay.
Because it will be a very strong lavender soap if it's
At-
more than 2 ounces.
At what point would you put that in?
You would put that in last.
Okay.
Would you substitute it for any other oil?
No. The oils that we're using here are different than those essential oils, and it really doesn't make too much of a difference. You just don't want to cut back from the base ingredient.
Are you just melting the lard right now, or the coconut oil too?
The lard right now. Then next we'll mix in the coconut oil.
So when you say add it in last, do you mean last to this mixture, or once you add the water and lye back in?
What last of everything, I'll tell you. I'll let you know. So we've melted it down. You'll start to see it looks like little cubes of ice in there. That's about a good time to start adding your coconut oil and mixing it in. See, it looks like little ice cubes in there. That's a good time you mix your coconut oil in there.
Do you ever add a little bit more oil to begin with, because you know you're going to lose some?
Yeah, I will add about at least maybe half an ounce to an ounce extra of what it calls for. Like I said, this is a lot of fun. You know, it's kind of like a do-it-yourself at home type. You can play music, you can do whatever you want to do.
Where did you get your coconut oil?
Fiesta, go to the baking section, you'll find all of your stuff there. Except for the lye. You won't find, if you find the lye in the baking section, something's up. So this is a good time to start paying attention to the temperature.
Where'd you get that thermometer?
That one I got at Walmart. It's like $2. Sorry if I don't like Walmart. But it was on sale.
Have you tried
Oh
that?
yeah, you can do like your little digital shoots in thermometer. That's cool. People can get fancy with their equipment. You know, it all depends on your style that you want to go with. You know, because it's a hobby. You know, too. It can very much well be a really fun hobby, and you can put a lot into it. You know, which makes it a lot of fun. Okay, that's at 100 degrees.
Yes, I did. I did.
So we're gonna leave it there because we're waiting for that
Yeah. Yeah, that's smart.
lye to cool down.
You want to keep it at 100?
Yeah, about 100, 120 degrees. You just want to melt it down.
How hot is the lye right now?
The lye is freaking hot. So it usually takes about an hour for it to cool down.
Is it 90?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll need it about 90 degrees. That's why we want to kind of cut it off at 100. If it gets too low, we can always bring this back up quickly. And so now that we've melted down our coconut oil, that didn't take long, into our fat, then we're going to add the olive oil into it and stir that sucker in there. Yes, it's melted down. No more ice cubes. For good practice and easy cleanup, as you're waiting for your lye to cool down and your fats are all mixed, that would be a really good time to start washing the dishes that you've already dirtied.
Start cleaning those toes.
Yeah, because this process, if you don't clean up a little by little, you'll turn around and you'll be like, what the hell? You see, my kitchen is all about making soap now.
What?
When you have just a quick tidbit, when you have the thermometers like this one, don't touch the bottom of this to the bottom of the pan. So yeah. So now we have that. I'm gonna check the lye real quick. So we're at 150 degrees with the
Oh my
lye.
gosh.
When I put it out there, it was like 180 degrees. So that's not bad. Folks, if you're starting out, you gotta wear like, first of all, wear clothes that you're not gonna care about.
Right.
Wear an apron.
Make sure you have a clear path.
Yeah, make sure you have a clear path. I don't have a clear path.
He does have the place well ventilated, though.
I do.
You can tell which things are optional.
And
which
usually
things are
my
not.
stove is not in the walkway either.
Right.
But yeah, you want to wear rubber gloves. I have rubber gloves in there. You want to wear shoes, an apron. Make sure that you reserve all of your spoons and your pots and stuff like that for only making the soap. So it's just a couple of things. Just stick them in the pot and find a corner to stick them in. So just stick to steel if you want to. Plastic is fine. Like I said, plastic stirring spoons are fine, but be careful with your spoon that you're stirring your lye with. Metal or wood is good. It just lasts longer. You don't want to stick something in there that's a bad plastic and you're oh, what happened to my spoon? I've had that happen before. And towels, old towels to work with because of the fats and cleaning off your hands and stuff like that. The other tidbit is when you're finished with the lye, immediately take those tools that you use and put them in the sink and run water with them because you don't want it to get on your hands later afterwards. So we have the oils and the fats are down to the temperatures that we need. We mix lard, olive oil, and coconut oil together. And so now that they're within 10 degrees of each other in temperature, we mix the lye solution into the oils and fats. And it'll start to turn a cream color, so that's good. It'll start to get cloudy.
And what were the temperatures exactly?
Within 10 degrees of each other, you don't want to mix it. The temperature degrees that you have to work with are within 150 to 90 degrees. You don't want the lye to go any lower in temperature than 90 degrees because then it just won't do the reaction that it needs. And you can see it start turning like the cream color. And you just want to stir it. And if you notice, you'll look into it. If you stop stirring, you'll see how it's still separated. You'll see the water and the oils. So you just kind of stir it. There are several different methods to stirring it. Some people just want to stir it like this. Some people do the Crazy 8 method. That one's fun. I change it up as long as it mixes up. So for about 30 minutes, if you're doing it by hand, you're gonna stir it and mix it for 30 minutes non-stop. So usually what I'll do is I'll take the timer and I'll put it on for 30 minutes. And that'll tell me that when that goes off, then I can stop stirring. So like I said, you can get carried away into a meditation while
I
you're
bet.
doing this for 30 minutes. And it can be quiet and you have music playing in the background. Or if you're a spiritualist, this is where you would take
Set
the
your
time
intention.
to set your intent on the soap. So if you're gonna use a hand mixer, the electronic hand mixers with the little whatever,
Whips.
right? We called it a hand mixer.
Hand
earlier.
mixer with
Yeah.
the whips. It's not really
Um,
electronic, but.
Okay.
There are some.
Then
Are there?
you're gonna use it. It's
There you
gonna
go.
be 15 minutes for that. Let it mix for 15 minutes. The consistency that I tell everybody that you want it to look like is going to be like pudding, hot pudding that has cooked just before you put it in the refrigerator. And you'll stir it. And if you want to add essential oils or herbs or any extra additives, you put them in after the 30 minutes.
After the 30
you have mixed the fats and the oils and the lye solution together. That's when you mix all that stuff. If you want natural exfoliant, for coarse exfoliation, you would use kosher salt. For soft exfoliation, you will use sugar. They say, why would you use sugar for the soft exfoliant? Because the sugar, when added to the heat, begins to melt. So that one you'll add just as it's getting cool. It'll settle to the bottom on its own. Or some people like to wait a little bit after, and they'll put it in there and then mix it into the. So the whole bar is an exfoliant.
Mm-hmm.
You can use apricot seeds. You can use anise seeds.
Oatmeal?
Oatmeal. You can use oatmeal. Is really fun. You can use dried fennel seeds. Lavender figs, anything that can rub. You can use cedar bark,
Almonds? Something
almonds.
Like
You
that?
can use almonds. Yeah, you can use coconut. Shredded coconut is really fun to add to soap for aesthetics. Just remember that anything that you have, because this is going to be a gooey liquid, anything that you add in there is going to settle to the bottom.
How do you prevent that when you want your soap to harden and it to be throughout your soap?
Okay, so what I do is if I want a bar of soap, for example, like this one, that has it through and through, and it doesn't all settle to the bottom, and that's just one of the little sample bars. If I don't want it to settle to the bottom, what I do is I will add some to the mixture and mix it in, and once I set it, once I pour it and leave it, I will let it sit for an hour and a half, and I'll come back with a whisk and I'll give it another
I see.
whisk
So
through.
it sets for an hour and a half, then you whisk it.
Yeah, that way the content is getting it's solidifying. Once I do that, I mix it around if I want it evenly throughout wherever, and then I just put it back, and I'll see you in 30 days.
What's in here?
Thinking about adding stuff for exfoliants, you were talking about everything sinking. I'm wondering if you added hummus, wouldn't it float?
Yeah, but that's okay, because if it floats to the top, it's still on one side of the bar, right?
Yeah, but you want to use it all the way through, you know?
Some of the other things you can use too, which are really, really fun for natural exfoliants. Gosh, I don't know what we call it. We call them estrapajo, but it's a sponge. You can find it at like Fiesta and oh, the loofahs.
Yeah.
The loofah bars. If you cut them in half,
You can put them in
you can
soap.
put them in your soap, and then when you cut your bars of soap, your bar has the loofah inside of it already. Yeah, it's really fun.
Good for your face.
Charcoal is good too. Charcoal is a very good
Where's it from? New Mexico.
purifier.
You kind of have to be balanced. Yay! That went by fast.
I know. It's fun when.
And does it look? And that's how it's supposed to look. That doesn't look like pudding. Oh, but pudding before you put it in the refrigerator.
So give it a little swirl. I want you to feel that thickness of it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Anybody
Then
else?
you can get cute little molds and put it in there too.
Yeah, yeah. You can hand dip it into the best baking molds are those the soft ones. If you're making batches of soaps, that way you can pop it out because if not, you'll
that's
have
good.
to like hit it out.
So
To break the
silicone
mold.
molds?
It's
Oh, I'm
silicone
sorry.
molds. That's what they're called. Yeah. So this is your basic mixture. now this is where you add your herbs, your oils, or whatever else you want to add into it, and you kind of give it another stir for about another 5 minutes or so, 5 or 10 minutes if you're adding essential oils. If you're adding herbs into it,
Essential oils, five
just
minutes.
add them in there. You really don't want more than half a cup because it becomes too much, and you can stir it in there.
Half a
So
cup or half an ounce?
half a cup of your herbs. Yeah.
You can jerk that down.
Half a cup of herbs.
So since this is going to be y'all's bar of soap, there's a couple of basic things that we can put in there right now. We can put an exfoliant in there of salt, kosher salt. If you guys would like some kosher salt in there. There's a lot of things we can put in there. I don't know how you guys just want a basic bar of soap.
What you got?
We've decided that we're going to put amber
Sorry.
and
Forgetting your
oatmeal. Now, amber is also a natural dye, so this is going to turn red here in a second.
Oh, cool.
What is amber?
Amber is like a resin, kind of from a tree.
Yeah.
up a few
Isn't it
thousand
I
years
forgot
old.
what it was. It like drips out of the tree, right? Yeah, a resin from a tree.
Well, it dripped out of the tree long before we were here.
Right.
This is a different type of amber.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this one comes from a tree in Australia. It's from a root. It's a sap that.
Can I smell?
Yeah, and it
Smells
has
good.
a really good scent, and you kind of just want to
It does.
You're just kind of shaking it in there. like
even
that.
it out. Yeah, and it's going to start the dye process.
That's pretty cool. We're gonna
Yeah.
color soap.
Nice.
Well, you know, there's color therapy too. Color has an effect on you as well. Of course, it's just soap, but
Get your edge right next to it. Cinnamon.
So now here's the thing also. The color that you have now is not technically the color that it'll come out when it dries. So this color may come out a little lighter. So when you're looking at your coloring recipes, if you're getting more advanced, make sure that you pay attention to how much you want to put in there. That way you can get the right color that you want.
I imagine a lot of that's trial and error too. You just kind of have to
Oh,
get
yeah.
into it.
How's it go? If we learn from our mistakes, I'm
Yeah.
brilliant.
And there are several different forums that you can find from people that make their own soap at home. And they share recipes, and there really is no big secret.
Right.
to,
So
you know,
you're
make
not sharing
soap.
any secrets.
Yeah.
Secrets of success.
Yeah, I mean, it just all depends on the person, on how they make their soap and how much care they. That really is the difference on a lot of these luxury soaps that you see. If they're homemade, they have an expensive price because the people really put a lot
Yeah.
of time and care into it at
Of
home.
course. Just like anything else. Just like your food.
And so we've mixed it up enough. It's broken up, and so oats are really fun.
And what's the property of the amber? The
Half a
cleansing.
cup.
What's the property? Cleansing or whatever?
Well, the spiritual property of amber is protection and cleansing, consecration and purification. But we can also use it as for smell. But we can
Smells
also
really
use
good.
it as a dye, because it's
It
dye.
smells really good though. I love
So
it.
we want about half a cup of oats and just sprinkle it in there.
Should we make any special care in what kind of oatmeal we get?
Quaker oat. As long as it's oat.
I wasn't sure if there were like, some of the, if you just went to the grocery store and got oatmeal, it had some weird
Still
additive that made your
ground.
soap
No,
turn evil
not
and take
your,
over the
not
world
your
or
instant
something.
oatmeals. You want your oats that are whole oats. So we're gonna mix it around just a little bit, and then we're gonna pour it. And the reason we're gonna mix it around is because we don't want it to settle to the back of the pot.
That's a perfect little thing, isn't it?
This?
That little plastic thing.
Mm-hmm. Make sure you kind of check your molds, because the plastic, they do kind of attract little dusts and stuff and static.
Now, what did you just say? The molds attract dust and careful.
Because of the
that.
plastic,
Yeah,
I just kind of shake them out. And
But we don't get dusty soap.
just mix it around.
So the first time you made soap, did it come out?
No.
I know it's trial and error. You got to get in there and mess it
The
up.
first time I made soap, it didn't come out because the videos that I watched didn't have enough information.
They left
And
something
I
out.
tried to do it, and so then I said, oh, it didn't come out. So then I just went back home for a weekend, and I was like, show me how to make soap. I don't remember how to do it anymore. So it was like riding a bicycle. So the second time I was like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. So that's why I agreed to do the video, because a lot of them aren't in detail and nobody's talking. And yeah, I always tell everybody, if you want to learn something, make sure you're able to see the complete process of it. Some people leave things out. I don't know why. Either they forget to mention something, or just, I don't know, they want to be a secret. But I will always pour it towards me. I'm going to show you how I pour it, and I always pour it slow. That way I can kind of gauge it.
I'm sorry.
What? Hey, how are you?
Good. Good. Are you guys coming?
Everybody always says, why do you use that spoon? I use this spoon because it's really good. It has a flat tip, so you can evenly scrape the back of the pan with everything. And then it gets right into the edges, and then you can just scoop everything out with the curved part. So you have your soap, okay? And just kind of,
Good.
I like to give it one little swirl more. You can see the colors in it.
Okay. All right. Bye.
And then that's pretty much it. It is mixed.
And how long does it take to?
Wow.
30 days.
It will take 30 days.
Totally
So
not what I expected.
we're
So we
going.
come
So we put it in here. We leave it there. I'm gonna set it on the shelf here in a little bit. Remember, you want to make sure that the surface that you're using is a flat surface, because however it sits, that's how your soap is gonna dry. So if you want even bars, make sure that the surface is flat. You cover it up, let it sit. Like I said, if you want to come back in an hour and a half, give it one more mix. Sometimes you like to take chances and you like to let it settle. They'll settle in layers, so when you cut your stuff, your thing kind of has layers in it, which is neat sometimes too. But that's pretty much it. You can come back to this in about a week to 2 weeks. Take it out of the mold, flip it over, and put it. And you'll have a block of soap, and then you'll just measure out your soap however you want your bars, and then you cut it. And after you cut it, you let it sit for another 15 days, and at the end of the 30 days, you have your soap.
So you cut in 15 days, is that what you said?
Yeah, cut in. Check your soap. Sometimes because of the ingredients, it may harden quicker, so you can check it within a week and cut it within a week. But just give the good bar of soap 30 days to cure before you use it, and you'll have an excellent bar of soap.
Will you know before the 30 days if it didn't work? Like, will it? I mean.
Oh yeah, if by week 2, if it's not solid, and you've got a bad
Messed up.
batch of soap,
Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
So Oscar, how would you recommend cleaning the water?
Soap and water.
Comes out.
Yeah,
He likes it all.
soap and water. So until you've developed enough of your own soap to wash your own dishes, the best soap actually to clean all of this material is Dial soap.
Oh,
Yeah, I did.
Dial really cuts that fat because you can wash it and you'll notice that your stuff that has the fats on it, like the lard, is still slick.
That's a hard dial soap, right?
Yeah, yeah. Dial. You can use Dawn too. Dawn is really good because it takes the tar off the little penguins.
Yeah, sure does.
Aww.
So that's
You look
it.
familiar,
That's
I'm
the
looking at you.
that's how you make soap.
Hey, thanks, Oscar.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
that's awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm excited. I've been wanting to make soap forever. I just didn't know.
The warriors who made it. All right, now we got it.
So, as you advance in your soap making and you need references to look at, I recommend these two books for making your soaps at home and using natural recipes. This book is called The Complete Soap Maker, and it's by Norma Coney, Coney. Bought it at Half Price Books for $8. And if you're looking at packaging for selling soaps or making a business, this one is called Melt and Pour Soap Making, and it's by Marie Browning. Also got it at Half Price Books, or you can find him on Amazon.